All right, guys, today's lesson is going to be over uh, public policy there, the economy, fiscal policy. We're going to talk about taxation today. We'll go through this PowerPoint and again, hopefully do a good job kind of explaining, why things are the way they are, why we tax and things of that nature. And again, people's opinions are different on this, and, we're not going to get political or anything like that, but things just about a budget and it won't be long. I'll be talking to you guys about a personal budget within your household. But we got to look at a nation that obviously does budgets and where money goes, allocates that money, makes trade-offs with it, with the money that comes in from taxpayers, things like that. So you see here on this slide here, it's just kind of a page just of some basic budget terminology. Surplus, budget deficit there. Revenue is income, which obviously taxation, the taxes we pay is revenue to the federal government. Expenditures are paying for things or expenses. And then we've talked about GDP there. Again, just some vocab words that you can use, you'll see kind of throughout this PowerPoint. 16th Amendment, which we learned about last year in U.S. history, gave the right of the government to impose taxes on the people. And again, those taxes are used again for different reasons. Sometimes it's, we may agree with what it's used for. Sometimes we may not agree with what it's used for. But the federal government's job is to allocate that money into different programs, social programs, things like that, military to protect us, things like that. So economic importance of taxes there, raise revenue. Again, that is income for the governing bodies. Regulate the economy there, local, state, national level, federal level there. We'll get into that. Progressive taxes, different types of taxes here. Progressive tax, guys, is a tax that takes a larger percentage of income from higher income groups. And you see some examples there. The income tax, your federal income tax. The more money you make, the more money you are taxed. And then again, the less money you make, the less money you're taxed. And it's based on the ability to pay principal there. But a progressive tax, again, will take more money from those groups, kind of according to income that they make. Okay, regressive tax. These you never think about this a lot, but a regressive tax actually affects low income people, middle income people much harder than affects upper income people. And I'm going to use let's say hunt and fishing license, any type of licenses and fees we have on cars or whatever. Well, when a multi-million billionaire goes and gets his hunting and fishing license, that $68 combo he does for his hunting and fishing license does not affect him one iota. Okay, but for me or some other person who doesn't make nearly as much money, that $68 hits me a lot harder than it hits that very wealthy person. Okay, that's known as a regressive tax. Going to a museum, sales taxes, things like that. Those again, it's going to hit the lower income or middle class people much harder than it affects multimillionaires. So regressive taxes, again, we see that a lot. Parking fees, licenses, taxes on toll roads. You're driving a toll road and again, you're charged the same fee as that multimillionaire. Okay, that is a regressive tax. So a lot of times we don't think about that and realize the effects on individuals, because again, it affects individuals totally differently depending on your income and how much you make. Okay, so two types here we've seen is progressive tax. Now there's a regressive tax. And then we'll get into property taxes, local taxes that we face at the local level. You see property tax there. Other taxes are included there: tax, hotels, license fees, fines, and permits. And guys, if you've ever gone with parents or stayed at hotels, things like that, hotels have a very, very high local tax rate or tax rate there. And that is because if you're living in those cities, it doesn't affect you. Those hotel taxes do not affect you. So when people come into Waco to stay at a hotel for whatever reason, we are actually making a lot of income or taxes off those people who are not from our cities. And so anytime you travel into other parts of the state or nation or whatever, those hotel taxes, again, are very heavy, and it does impact the tourist people coming to those cities because of the high taxes. So Anyway, let me pause this real quickly.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, and let me get back to where I was at there, presenting. I got interrupted there. I think I was talking about hotel taxes there. Going on to state taxes there, state received most of the revenue from sales tax. 8.25% is what we're charged on goods when we buy those, and you see other taxes include gas, vehicle sales tax. We do require a balanced budget in the state of Texas, unlike our federal government that does not balance our budget. And again, that's what, budget's important. And within your home, a budget's important. We'll get to that. I don't want to get off topic here, but budgets are important. You need to make sure you follow a budget for sure. National taxes here. You see revenue as far as national taxes, individual income tax, Social Security, Medicare taxes, corporate taxes, expenditures. Where does that money go? What does the government do with that money? And over on the right here, you see provide for public goods such as national defense, our military, national parks, undesirable acts there, income redistribution there, social programs, Social Security, Medicare, public assistance, welfare, Medicaid, and then regulating the economy there, economic activity there, environmental, labor, and management things like that. Unemployment, inflation, guys, these are two things, big problems and big threats to our economic stability. And we talked about the business cycle a while back, and guys, and you see the business cycle on this slide here. But unemployment and inflation are two biggies that you really, really want to avoid within an economy. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. Unemployment, you've got to have people working. You've got to have people having income. You've got to have people spending money, and that's a big thing for sure. Okay, unemployment, inflation, unemployment rate. Here's just a couple of vocab words. I think we've seen these previously, and you see those there. And I'm going to keep on moving on this. Fiscal policy defined the government policy of taxing and spending to correct an instability in the economy. Taxation. So we'll talk about taxes here a little bit. There's two branches of fiscal policy. Demand side. You see John Maynard Keynes. He was one of our economic philosophers we learned about earlier in the year, or talked about earlier in the year. But he looked at stimulating from a demand through government spending and tax cuts for the American people. So cut taxes on the American people where they would have more money to spend. In turn, that would stimulate the economy. I think there's more on the next slide. During times of a recession, to deal with unemployment, increase government spending, decrease taxes on people, or a combination of the two. Increasing government spending is, again, getting the gears turned into that economy, and again, decreasing those taxes too. We'll do that again during the recession phase of the business cycle. We've seen this a little bit on some previous ed puzzles, things like that, but things that you will do during expansionary fiscal policy to expand the economy during a recession. So those are some things that obviously you would do. To contract the economy, contractionary fiscal policy to shrink that economy. You see there used the expansion phase when we've got too much expansion in the business cycle. Inflation becomes that problem again. We're going to decrease that government spending. We're going to increase the taxes on the people. We've got to slow and shrink the economy back down during that expansion phase. Again, it's gone unfettered, gone unwatched per se, and again, inflation has become a problem. So to do that, we've got to increase taxes on those people. Again, monetary policy does it one way, fiscal policy does it another. And right now, you're seeing kind of how fiscal policy handles inflation during an expansion phase. Okay. Supply side, we talked about the demand side just the last few slides. Supply side is going to be on the business side. We're going to talk, you see that policy designed to stimulate output and lower unemployment there. Implemented in 1980s, Reaganomics was a big thing during that time period. Goal there was to give incentive to businesses to produce more, increase production. So incentives given to businesses. That again is your supply side. Principles of supply side here: tax cuts, encourage consumers to save so businesses have money to borrow for capital investment. Government spending cuts, especially on the transfer payments where nothing is produced. And again, deregulate business. Let them do kind of what they think they need to do and kind of take the government regulations off the businesses to where they can expand and again do what they deem necessary. So it's kind of known as trickle down economics from the wealthy supply side down to the consumers on the demand side. Okay. And last thing, circular flow. I don't know if we'll see this again. I know we've talked about the circular flow in previous units. Again, it's also in this unit. So I just put the circular flow there just so you could see it one last time there. So anyway, hopefully that made a little sense, and we will stop right there.